team.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Chart Talk. It is Monday, October 15th. It is 12:35 here on the West Coast. That means it's 3:35 out east by Bennett. We got 25 minutes till this market closes. Bennett knows how much I love doing these things intraday. Luckily, I already got stopped out of stuff. So, whenever we do these midday, I usually get smoked. So the smoking already happened. Bennett, how we doing over there?
Doing good. Take two.
Take two. All right. Well, we got a very interesting market on our hands. We've been floating up to all-time highs. We got some selling today. So, let's hop into the charts, get a better picture of what we got going on. All right. So we've been on a really great run since we zoom in here. This is the S&P 500 I got. So this was September 11th here, the day we bottomed. We bottomed up, made a run towards all-time highs, nice little flag, and we pushed higher. And I put out a note yesterday saying, enjoy this market while we're floating higher, but we're getting very vulnerable to the fact we're seeing very euphoric signs in the market. So it's a great time when we were at all-time highs, but we were just kind of too feisty, if you will. We were floating up, and then today we saw some selling. Based on ASML coming out with earnings early. We saw Semiconductors come in. So let me talk about that for a minute. So ASML, this came out in a flash. Let me go to the intraday chart here.
Damn.
So these earnings are supposed to come out tomorrow morning, ASML. The reason these are so big, they're the biggest semiconductor company in Europe. And what they do is they kind of paint a picture for the rest of the industry about how they're doing with their guidance, their forward-looking everything. So these earnings come out, and then we have Taiwan Semi Thursday morning. But they leaked early, and you see this intraday move I got up on my screen here. Very, very, very ugly. So we look at the semiconductors as a whole. This is ugly. This is very, very ugly. What we were looking at here, we were hoping that this was going to be a base that takes us to new highs. NVIDIA was breaking out, and everything was looking good. But as these are the leading industry in the NASDAQ, this is a huge, huge warning signal. And a little lesson in charting. When you get these huge engulfing bars on huge volume, look at it. It erased 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days of gains in one bar. That is a very, very, very powerful bar that you do not want to lose track of. You got to take that information as, okay, semiconductors are changing. They're the leading sector in NASDAQ. That could spell some trouble for the market. So seeing this take the SPY down with it, NASDAQ now, again, erased 1, 2, 3, 4 days of gains in one swift move. You have to get a little cautious seeing that sell bar. So, we came into the day pretty cautious. I'm pretty happy with how I've locked in gains coming into this day. So it looks like, we are seeing relative strength elsewhere. Small caps still staying strong. We love seeing that. But there's a few funny things going on in the market I'll talk about, and then I'll send it over real quick. So we did see rates come in a bit. This is the 10-year. However, this move higher is definitely, equities are going to struggle a little bit in this move. We haven't seen it at all. We've mostly seen it in the very, very rate-sensitive sectors, such as home builders. But, just knowing this in the back of your mind, you have to say, okay, that's a little funky. I don't want to be super, super risk on with knowing, this is the backdrop of rates rising like crazy. So seeing those couple things, the dollar is screaming off lows here. Again, not a great sign for U.S. stocks, equities. So, we've had these kind of signals that say, all right, we've been on a great run. It might be time for that run to slow down. And now, all right, so you take all that information together and know that we have the election now 3 weeks from today, and then we have earnings season coming up. So for me, in my history, my worst time to trade is just before earnings. Like I've looked at my account every single earnings season. When I push it into the season and I've had a good run into it, I typically don't do great in those 2 weeks of where it's starting up and names are about to start reporting. So I knew that coming in. And we're in that time where earnings are starting to ramp up. So that, along with the election, the last two elections, we've seen markets sell off into the election. The last 2 weeks, it's been a pretty decent sell off, both last election. So do we get that, or do we just shake this off? I'm not sure. But what I do know is we've been on a really sick run, and things have been really great, and we're seeing names like UPST run. So the good news about catching this UPST, we bought it here this day, last Friday. I'm pretty much all out. If it takes out these lows, I'll be all out of it. Good news is we caught the move. Bad news is this is a very euphoric sign for the markets. This is not a time where like, okay, we're seeing UPST rip, 25% or whatever it is in 3 days time. It's not like, all right, now we're going to start loading the boat. Now, to me, that's more of a signal of we're getting a little too euphoric up here. Market might need to consolidate and go from there. So that's the main part of what I want to talk about. I got some trades to go over, but for now, I'll send that thing back over to you.
Yeah, over a couple sectors. Just give me a second. All right. So here already went over the SPY. Again, we've seen the SPY and the Dow hitting new highs, while the NASDAQ names have been lagging as they've been trying to climb back to their retest, where S&P, Dow 30 names have been pushing to new highs. And what we've been mentioning over the past few chart talks is just as the consolidation periods shorten, those breakup periods that follow also going to shorten. So when you have, a few weeks to a month of consolidation in the Dow, when we get a week or two of a breakout, that's really as much as we can ask for. We can't expect these year-long bases or flags to form, and you get months of breakouts to follow when you have these tiny consolidations. So we're seeing, S&P and Dow leading the charge, with the tech names, lagging, trying to play catch up, so to speak. And even here you can see in tech, perfectly retesting their prior all-time high, but not able to push through it just yet. And that's not that surprising. We go over it endlessly. Anyone who's a member knows how much we hammer down on the retests, often being at resistance. We saw that with NVIDIA. Trading exactly, in line with what, the VGT and what the NASDAQ's been doing. And for the members that have been in it, hopefully they got trailed out today versus the prior low day. And it was just a nice swing from that, 120 area. A few other, sectors that are working out still pretty strong. We have the industrials. Again, we're seeing this these tiny consolidations, these new pushes into new highs. So it can very easily come back and retest, but they are pushing through new highs. Biotechs, nice little run up off of support, end of last week into this week, for that eventual move through this like 150 area, but had a nice little, tight support back entry versus that little pivot low there. So bios looking pretty decent, along with materials still forming a nice new flag here after, the prior resistance level. We can see going back to March, prior resistance level starting to act as support. So we're seeing a new flag of materials. Financial is very strong. Again, we're seeing same, multi attempts at resistance with it breaking out. And last but not least, my biggest focus has been in the mid caps. So we saw this flag forming, break through all-time highs in the mid cap space. Let's kind of zoom out a little bit so we can see, flag at all-time highs, very tight flag here. And from a swing trading standpoint, I tend to not necessarily trade the broader sectors as much as I would an individual name, but it was just a very tight setup, very tight risk. I was buying this 570 versus 562, 563 area. Again, this might be the short-term top. I have a low day stop in this, so probably get stopped out of this by the time we're done with this chart talk, but just a nice tight risk trade. But Jake, I'll pass it back to you. I have a couple of charts I'll go over, but we'll send it back your way, and we'll take it from there.
All right. So I just mentioned I probably got stopped out of that UPST. I just got stopped out right here. And this only shows 7 days. We got in it this day here. Oh, let me zoom in a bit. All right. So this was the day of entry. Maybe look for a little ad, didn't stick with it, but I held my core, sold some into strength 47, and yesterday sold some into strength 52. Now I'm all out here, just below 54, whatever that was, UPST. Great trade, but got to know when the getting's a little too good. This Affirm is another one. I got stopped out a bunch today too. Again, only shows last 7 days, but this is the day I entered. How I traded this was, all right, we saw this little range down here. This was an earnings gap up right here. This is a name. So I was looking at this right here, and I was looking at this inside day to enter it, and then it gapped up over the entry and on a big upgrade. It got upgraded to like $75 or something. So it gapped out of this little area, and on the dip, I bought 40 versus 39. And then you see at 45, when I'm up, 5 times my risk is when I began scaling out. Got out of most that, what was that, Friday? Yeah, Friday. Just taking huge gains here. And I got stopped out of pretty much the rest. Yeah, I still have a little bit left, but pretty much the rest when we pushed through highs, couldn't go higher. Hey, if it flags out and gives another setup, I would happily buy it. I just know that this name came a long way. The big winner again was this cart. Still riding this one out. We bought it here through highs 40.60. We zoom in a little bit. 40.60. You can see I did most of my profit taking a third day up when it got a little extended. Now I'm sitting with free stock here, and I got to stop below 42. I think this one looks really great to continue higher. I'd love to see it break out. If it doesn't, no harm, no foul. This SQ, I got shaken out of some today. Man, I'm a little upset about. I had a really nice entry on this one. So this square, this has been a name that's kind of been hiding. It's sitting within a huge base up at 85. We were trying it up here back in March, April. Hasn't really done much. Now it's sitting in this lower consolidation here. So I originally entered this one Friday. I'll show you intraday how I traded this one. All right. So Friday we saw these Friday, very rate sensitive name. That's what it was, and it was we started breaking higher. So I bought the hell out of it. Originally 69 versus 67. Kind of came down Friday. Held this 69 area. So I bought some more off that. Got out of it before the close yesterday. Gave a nice little entry again, able to add up through 70.20. I got out of those ads this morning, and then my mistake in the trade, I don't know if it's a mistake, but when I see the NASDAQ do this at highs, this is some high volume selling, and you see we're still closing lower. SQ is a name that's in the IWM, but overall for the market, I'm getting very defensive. So, when we took out those intraday lows, I got stopped out of my size. When you see my stops down here, break even, that might have been a mistake on my end. We'll see. I was a little upset about that all day. But overall, books of P&L, pretty solid trade. I'm still holding some if it wants to run. What else was there? This ANF, this is a good trade on my end. All right, so let me show you the ANF chart. Do you see the trading view? Did it switch?
Yeah, it switched over.
Okay. All right, so this ANF, I had a real bone to pick with this guy. I was shorting the hell out of this stock last week and got smoked. So I got short. You see, it's kind of just pounding on this 200-day simple moving average inside day here. I got short below it, big old size. Never really went anywhere. I was still holding a decent chunk of my position. Then they got this massive upgrade, and that was this day. So I got out at the beginning of the day, but I was continuing to track it, and I saw, what is this right here? That is the 50-day. That it was kind of bull flagging now on the 50-day. So last Friday, I was like, all right, I know from watching this stock so closely, it's not a short. It is definitely not a short with the action I've seen. So I have that information built up in my head. So Friday, I buy through this high, 145, right here. Very tight stop, 143. And I've just been scaling out the past 2 days. So because I had such a tight entry, 145 versus 143, $2 risk. My price is 145. So I got to make $10 to make 5 to 1. So you see the 100-day moving average sitting right there at 155, 156. I sold most into that. It was a little too early. I'll go over the trade. But you see, I really started scaling out 155 yesterday. Took some off 3 to 1, took a bunch off 5 to 1, and then we got these morning pops, and that's where I really took my size off, and that ends up being around 7 to 1 in 3 days. So a great trade. Looks like it could continue higher. If it sets up again, I'll look to buy some back. But other than that, the other one that was a real problem for me last week is Shaq. Holy shit, look at that. Not good. Not good dots. So I tried this one 3 different times, didn't work out. Now it seems like it's setting up again. They put me through hell last week. I still got Shake Shack over the weekend. So I'm a sick, sick man. But just huge volume came in, shook me out some, bought some back, shook me out some, and then I finally like took my loss with it Friday. Thing just put me in hell. So I took a decent loss there. But zoom out of this shack, setting up now, setting up for kind of a monthly breakout, this 110, 111 area. I'm still watching it, but again, my thoughts on the market, I'm not very aggressive right now.
Mhm.
Given the warning signs and everything I kind of laid out beforehand. So I'm not looking to put a ton on. I have a list of charts that look okay, but more so I'm just waiting for the next kind of signal. I think today was the day to take notice to the downside. That's really kind of where I'm at right now. It's now
Mhm.
back to kind of like wait and see mode. Wait till something I love, and take from there. What are you thinking of there? Anything else?
I got a
Just a couple.
couple charts. Actually, I had a buy stop in for Shaq on what was the day? The day that it
Probably now it's probably ready. After I showed you the pain of those
yeah.
dots that I went through,
Mhm.
it's ready.
Yeah. On Thursday the 10th, I had I'm sorry. On Wednesday, I had a buy stop in, and I guess I put it for just good for the day, not good to cancel. So the next day when it triggered, it didn't get me in. I'm like, oh shit, I missed it. And it was already like it already flushed up, came back below it. Everyone was already complaining about it in the chat. So I was like, let me look at the mid caps. And the mid caps are looking nice and tight. And I was like, we're going mid caps. But yeah, it's even like your Shack. I feel like I've had like that frustration with TMO. Uh,
Yeah.
Still hasn't broken out. So again, I personally don't care about the name. But if again, when it gets back up there, as frustrating as it was in this, it doesn't look like much here. These little push up to these 620 areas is annoying because you get in and then it just comes back into the range. And that seems like what's kind of going on with Shack, which also the name kind of needs to kind of annoy traders to keep them coming back. But really, it's like does it wait till earnings to really push out end of the month and like just get fully away from this 110 area and then it's just off to the races, or does it still give us like an actual setup to get in before that run up back to I guess those prior highs of 130?
Very, very expensive question you're asking right now.
Yeah, I know. Let's see a couple names though. Like you said, not that many great setups again for me to buy the MDY. That's even like us back at the firm. Like if you traded the SPY, it's like you had nothing better to trade, and that's why you
Right,
traded the SPY. And like for me
right,
to
right,
go all in with my swing account on MDY, it was like that was the sign. It's like looking through all these small cap names, all these Nasdaq names, all these Dow 30 names, and not the craziest setup. So again, we have this CTSH. We can see one, two, three, four-ish attempts at this 78 breakout level. Again, not going to just blindly buy this tomorrow. Fourth day up in resistance, needs to consolidate more. Again, I'm really shocked that this Tesla is getting. Again, I really don't trade Tesla. It's not really my name, but just what he did last week between that rocket landing and the cabs, everything, like so many cool things, like just for like the world. I think it just happened. It's just interesting that the market just um,
So
hated that.
Bloomberg came out with an article saying all the robotic movements were
Mhm.
human powered.
What do you mean?
Someone was
Like,
sitting there with like a joystick, so the robots are moving. And legit
oh,
came out with an article saying that. I'm with you. I
uh,
think it's really cool, but it's also like he's so notorious. He's been promising this robo taxi since 2015.
mhm,
He was like, I think we'll have it by 2016. And
uh-huh,
then 2016, I think we'll have it by 2017. He's doing
uh-huh,
this every single year. So he has this presentation and he's like, it could be ready 25, 26, probably 27. So
uh-huh.
it's like it just means
Yeah,
nothing. He's
yeah,
lost all his like equity with like promising.
yeah,
So I think that's more to do with like no concrete start date of this stuff.
yeah. Still
You
cool to
getting a
see. It's
human?
like, what was that?
You getting a human?
No, no. I just
20
think
grand, 20, 30 grand between there, huh? What's up, bro? Come on. Little workout partner.
guys just like, benching 1,000 pounds like nothing.
You're
I
the best.
yeah.
Go harder.
All right, so let's see what else we got here. Again, this AZN, I believe it's an ADR, just trades a little wonky, but
Yeah.
Nice little base forming. Really, the real entry is up to this 80, but there's some tighter, 78, 79 again. ADRs do trade a little wonky. VKTX, another name that's been a little dirty for us, but again, it's getting tighter and tighter. It's still a pretty big range here, 60 versus 70, just relative to what it's been doing. It's been getting tighter. So I feel like Shaq, we can't miss. I think this VKTX through 70 can't really miss. But they're just setting up. So it's, they're not the easiest names. Still very wide. Again, this Amazon still battling with this 190. This is this prior levels going back quite some time here. Big level here going back to 2021. Multiple attempts at this 190. And we can see, back in 2021, 30-point range, being trading and trying to break 190. Now, at 190, barely can drop 10 points. Going back to 190, barely drops 10 points. So we're seeing buyers step up in this Amazon. Definitely set up very nice for that 190 breakout. Don't know if this will be the one where it goes. Again, earnings is coming up, end of the month. Maybe earnings is what's going to push it up and out of this 200 area, or gaps it back down, and it's another quarter before we see 190. But keeping a close eye on that. Again, with Nvidia, for the guys that were in it, it seems like most should have been stopped out today. I was not in Nvidia, but
all things considered, and if you keep that long day stop, pretty sick swing in that Nvidia. Like,
yeah.
So goes, retest highs, fails, retest, like it's like textbook,
I know. Like a couple of guys were in it. I know, like Tim was in it, and when you're in it, it's just I think they might have been buying like 120. I don't remember the exact entry, but it's like when you get all these days up, you just want to get out. But when you're so close to that retest, it's like the name is just going to want to like gravitate towards there. So it's like just holding on and as close as you can get to that retest area, and then just puking out and waiting for the next setup. So hopefully those guys got stopped out today under that prior low day. But again, that's really out of my end. Again, I'm still sitting in this. I'm pretty sure I actually just got stopped out. Yep. Yeah. So we'll reassess, find a new trade once this cash flows from this MDY swing. So that's all I got. It was through this. MDY was through this 670. Wrong arrow. I like moved our faces over, and it's covering all the little box on the side. So yeah, this little mid cap trade through all-time highs. Got a little 15-minute chart up here. Bought through this 570. Nice little run up, 15-point run up. Couple days. And now got stopped out through that lower day under this 580 area. So fun little trade, 10-point gain.
I think that 15-minute mid caps right there, that chart explains this perfectly. It's like, all right, we saw really easy breakout action, and now we're seeing it slow, and we have all these news events coming. It makes a lot of sense to have a lot of patience right now. Like we made some good money to start the month, and now it looks like it's going to get pretty tricky from here. So I'm definitely patience is my message today.
I couldn't agree more. All right, we got a minute or two for this and kick this out anyway, so I think that's a good part to call it a day.
All right. Give us a like, comment, subscribe, all that good jazz. You got any questions for us? We do this for y'all. But other than that, we'll catch you guys next week.
If you think you're going to get rich overnight trading, we're not for you. If you don't want to read daily or weekly to improve upon yourself, we're not for you. If you're not interested in saving weekly and building your accounts for the long term, we're not for you. If you're not looking to improve yourself daily, we're not for you. If you do want to build wealth for the long term, read weekly, save weekly, do all the right things for the long game, then we might be for you.